Leaders of the European Union have gathered in Brussels. They're having another summit to discuss the future of European security and the fate of Ukraine.
Watershed moment for Europe. And Ukraine, as part of our European family, it's also a watershed moment for Ukraine. Europe faces a clear and present danger, and therefore Europe has to be able to protect itself, to defend itself.
The war between Russia and Ukraine has Europe on edge. While European nations are trying to stay united, US President Donald Trump has threatened to exit the NATO alliance, after accusing European allies of being freeloaders. Trump says he wants peace in Ukraine and is willing to cut a deal with Russian President Vladimir Putin, with or without Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Putin has responded by saying he's open to such a deal, which has pushed Zelensky further into the European camp. With Europe now focusing solely on Russia, Trump has realigned his military and is focusing on what the United States considers the bigger threat, China. In February, the Trump administration quietly increased deployments and military exercises around China. It started with their ally South Korea. The US Navy deployed the aircraft carrier Carl Vinson. The 45-year-old warship docked in the South Korean port of Busan and immediately began conducting drills with the South Korean Navy. The aim was simple: increase bonhomie between American and South Korean forces and prepare them for a nuclear showdown with North Korea, where Kim Jong-un remains heavily backed by Chinese and Russian allies.
South Korea and U.S. Navy have particularly enhanced our interoperability and combined maritime operating capabilities amid the North Korea's growing nuclear and missile threats. Furthermore, we are heightening our enduring and watertight extended deterrence with the continuous deployment of U.S. strategic assets.
While the aircraft carrier undertook sea dominance drills, the US Air Force deployed the B-1B long-range strategic bomber to carry out drills with the South Korean Air Force. Once the air and seas were secured, the guns began crackling on the ground. South Korean and American troops began live-fire drills near Pocheon, which is just 40 kilometers away from North Korea.
The value of training for this is a great impact. It's building those relationships with our counterparts, establishing the ability to both simultaneously strike contact on different objectives simultaneously, building communication lines with each other, which, as everyone knows, communication lines are very important on the battlefield.
Once March began, the United States increased the intensity of the deployment as the annual Freedom Shield drills began in South Korea. First was a massive air power display, with F-15 jets carrying out bombing run simulations, followed by tanks and infantry fighting vehicles tearing up the firing range. After the power projection northeast of Beijing was complete, the United States shifted focus to the South China Sea. the quiet and serene beaches of Thailand were shaken up by loud explosions and gunfire. American and South Korean troops joined their Thai counterparts in conducting large-scale amphibious assault drills as part of Exercise Cobra Gold. Special forces from the US and South Korea stormed the beachhead, which was followed by amphibian tank assaults and paradrops, before fighter jets tore through the skies. The drills were conducted in the Gulf of Thailand, which is to the west of the South China Sea. At least 8,000 troops from the US, South Korea, Singapore and Thailand participated.
From the US perspective, we're learning different techniques and tactics and procedures on how to work not only amphibious but also in some of the unique environments that are offered here in Thailand, specifically the jungle. Obviously the littoral region with the great beaches and the ocean. And we also are learning different techniques on how to communicate, how to survive in the jungle, how to interoperate with regards to our weapon systems and our tactics, and basically just making ourselves better partners for our allies here with the Royal Thai Marine Corps, as well as our other partners from the Republic of Korea and the Singapore Armed Forces.
Despite threatening to exit NATO, the Trump administration seems to be recommitting to Asia, as US-China ties remain frosty.
I have a great relationship with President Xi. I've had a great relationship with him. We want them to come in and invest. I see so many things saying that we don't want China in this country. That's not right. We want them to invest in the United States. That's good. There's a lot of money coming in, and we'll invest in China. We'll do things with China. The relationship we'll have with China will be a very good one.
Days after Trump praised Xi Jinping, he imposed an additional 10% tariff on Beijing, taking the cumulative to 20%. China responded with tariffs on American agricultural produce. When asked about supporting Taiwan, here's what Trump had to say.
I never comment on that. I don't comment on anything because I don't want to ever put myself in that position. And if I said it, I certainly wouldn't be saying it to you. I'd be saying it to other people, maybe people around this table, and very specific people around this table. So I don't want to put myself in that position.
Then, the State Department made changes to its website and removed the line that said that the US does not support Taiwan's independence. Trump is clearly playing games with China. He says one thing, but his actions reveal something else. And now, the White House has promised to speed up weapon deliveries to Taiwan, which includes weapons for Taiwan's F-16 jets and anti-tank missiles and shore defense systems. This has angered Beijing, which has issued 2 back-to-back threats to capture Taiwan. The first came from Foreign Minister Wang Yi, who said China would never allow Taiwan's independence. The second came from the Defense Ministry, which stated, and I quote, "We will get Taiwan sooner or later."
Taiwan is an inseparable part of China's territory. This is both historical and factual.
The Taiwan question is purely China's internal affair and needs no external interference. A few US-made weapons cannot change the doomed fate of Taiwan independence.
It's still too early in Trump's second term to understand his strategy against China and his plans for Taiwan. But one thing is certain: China's approach. Xi Jinping has ordered his military to modernize and prepare for conflict. The strategy remains clear: put pressure on Taiwan with countless air and naval incursions and blockades. In 2024, Taiwan detected over 5,000 incursions of its air identification zone by Chinese jets, forcing Taipei to respond by mobilizing air defense systems and scrambling its fighter jets. These small yet repeated tactics are wearing down Taiwan's military and also increasing their operational costs. China's playbook is simple: buy time and keep tightening the noose. So, will Trump extend a lifeline to Taiwan, or will the self-governing island be left all by itself in murky waters?